Our topic is developing emotional intelligence in the workplace with Lily, Qian, Stephanie, Zhu and Zihao.
Emotional intelligence refers to the ability and skill to identify, regulate, and manage emotions of self and others, which comes from an understanding of oneself and the role emotions play in behaviors such as decision making and how these emotions extend to other people or groups. Traditionally, it is widely believed that intelligence quotient is the most influential factors that associated with the success at both individual and organizational level. However, in recent research, there are more than 71% of HR managers think that emotional quotient is more important than IQ at work and admit the role of emotional intelligence in workplace. According to Bradbury and Graves, EI is the foundation for critical skills, including a series of job-related characteristics like teamwork, stress tolerance, accountability, etc. The study has suggested that EI is responsible for 58% of job performance and 90% of top performers with high EQ. Employees who have a strong ability to perceive emotions will contribute to organization's overall performance with positive interpersonal relations, work productivity, and leadership. In this case, to coach and involve employees in the EI practice can be seen as a comparative advantage of organizations, which leads to a better management of emotions and therefore better decision making in organizations.
Trait AI is defined as a constellation of emotional self-perceptions located at the lower levels of personality hierarchies and measured by the Trait Emotional Intelligence Questionnaire. The Trait AI is the only operational definition in the field that recognizes the inherent subjectivity of emotional experience.
The model introduced by Daniel Goleman perceives emotional intelligence as a mixed intelligence including cognitive ability and personality aspects. In 1998, Goleman published his second book, proposing a theory of performance in organizations based on the model of AI. The model presents four major constructs of emotional intelligence, which are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. He also involves a set of skills within each construct of emotional intelligence. Goleman points out that each of the four major constructs are the basis to develop other learned abilities or skills necessary in the organizational field.
The Baron model is a mixed model which measures multiple dimensions relating to emotional intelligence, such as social, personality, and cognitive. There are five facets of social and emotional intelligence as defined by the Baron model: intrapersonal, interpersonal, stress management, adaptability, and general mood scale. In terms of comparing the three models, the advantage of the trait AI theory is that it takes individual differences into account and it acknowledges the subjective nature of emotional experience. In terms of disadvantages, the trait AI models accounts for for emotional intelligence are enduring as it is based on personality traits. Therefore, it is difficult to use as a model to develop or coach AI in the workplace. For Goleman, the advantage is that it is a comprehensive description of the different facets of emotional intelligence and they are specific to the workplace. It also involves a two-sided way of evaluating emotional intelligence, a self-report and a report from an external party, such as a colleague. Its main disadvantage is that it lacks empirical support. So why are we choosing the Baron model? It is a broader model in interpreting EI, addressing both emotional and personality traits of each individual. It is detailed and it is more easily testable empirically, and it can be applied to organizations through training methods. It also allows for a structured framework to be used for developing emotional intelligence. We have decided to apply the Barra model to analyze how emotional intelligence is correlated with effective leadership in organizations and how emotional intelligence can be developed in leaders. Effective leadership is defined by two facets: task outcomes, which are performance-related goals, and relationship outcomes, which are engagement, motivation, commitment, and satisfaction. There are many studies that link high emotional intelligence with effective leadership. To add to this, there are a few studies outlining that emotional intelligence can be taught and should therefore be implemented into organizations' leadership training methods. Leaders' expression of interpersonal and intrapersonal emotionally intelligent behaviors significantly correlate with their employees' sense of job satisfaction.
So we looked at a case study by Dippenaar and Sharp in 2017 that looked at the impact of coaching on the emotional and social intelligence competencies of leaders. So the development of emotional intelligence in previous studies has been criticized because of the lack of detail given about how emotional intelligence has been developed in the workplace. As discussed before, many studies have shown the link between effective leadership and emotional intelligence as measured by the Bar-On model. This case study therefore developed a coaching method addressing the 15 subcomponents of the Bar-On model with 9 coaching sessions spaced out over a 12-month period. The findings suggest that emotional intelligence improves significantly in intrapersonal competence, interpersonal skills, stress management, self-regard, and empathy. This model shows a coaching plan adapted from the Bar-On 2006 model. There were 4 phases. The first phase of preparation involves motivating the leaders toward change by assessing the individual's results on the emotional quotient inventory and setting specific goals to bridge the gap between where their ideal skills and where they currently were. Phase 2 involved the change process, the intervention, coaching, and teaching methods that the leaders can use to handle emotional and social difficulties. Phase 3 involved actually implementing this theory into practice, in other words, transferring the knowledge into actual change by applying newly acquired skills. Phase 4 involved reflection and a reassessment on the Bar-On emotional quotient inventory, as well as an interview with the supervisor. Overall, the participants showed improvements in their emotional intelligence as a result of the coaching program.
In terms of the link between the Bar-On model and the case study, we have to look at the specific strategies that were used within the coaching sessions. So sessions 3 to 8 of the coaching focus on one facet of the Bar-On model each. Session 3 and 4 would focus on the intrapersonal facet, particularly on developing the competencies of accurately perceiving and accepting oneself and understanding one's emotions. Leaders would learn how to effectively express their emotions, be free of emotional dependency on others, and strive to actualize one's potential. In Session 5, leaders would further their interpersonal competencies as defined by the Bar-On model. This would include coaching on being sensitive to others' emotions, to cooperate and to establish mutually satisfying relationships with others. Session 6 focuses on stress management, teaching leaders how to effectively manage and control emotions. Adaptability is developed in session 7, with teaching based around how to think with external reality, adapting one's feelings to all situations, and to solve interpersonal problems. In session 8, general mood is taught, focusing on positive psychology teachings.
So should organizations consider this Bar-On based executive coaching framework? So the strengths of this study is that it provided a used quantitative measure of the emotional quotient inventory. It also focused on specific emotional and social competencies. It was a long duration of coaching with sessions spread evenly across time. It was more frequent but shorter sessions. Some limitations of this study was while it did measure both qualitative, so the post-training interview, and quantitatively, so the emotional quotient inventory, the main evidence came from the Bar-On emotional quotient inventory, which is a self-report measure. While this result showed an increase in emotional intelligence in leaders as a result, there was no direct link that this had any effect on the organization as a whole. This meaning that while there is evidence to suggest that emotional intelligence is important for organizational effectiveness, this was not directly measured, and at best we have a correlation. So further research to provide evidence for this being an effective method in improving organizational effectiveness would require a study looking at post-training organizational effectiveness and compare it to control measures.
In terms of our recommendation for organizations, way forwards would include considering long-term interventions with spaced out but regular sessions, as this produces more thorough and effective emotional intelligence competency development. This allows participants sufficient time to apply their learnings to their work. Another one is only focus on emotional intelligence competencies that are workplace and goal relevant. This coaching strategy was effective because the end goal was to develop effective leadership behavior. The researchers focused on selecting a model, in this case the Bar-On model, which incorporates emotional intelligence competencies that are directly relevant to effective leadership.